Good morning, and welcome to this new lecture of electronics in which we were studying biomedical instrumentation. Hopefully, we have completed some of the basics of biomedical instrumentation in last classes. Today, we are going to continue with the biopotentials. What are actually the biopotentials that we are going to measure, and due to which we are going to come to the conclusion the defects in our human physiology, right? So let me share my screen and introduce myself. Uh, Hopefully, my screen is visible to you all. Yes, is it visible? Hello, am I visible? My screen is visible to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So keep me updated so that uh, I can let you know whether I'm correct or wrong or not. So yeah, so we have started with this biopotentials, and today we are going to study the biomedical instrumentation system. And for that, we require the basics of the biopotential. So today we are going to study the biopotential. So what are the sources of bioelectric potentials? Do you know this? What are bioelectric potentials? Right. So the sources of bioelectric potentials are biosignals and biopotentials. We are going to study this in depth. We have very short time to go. So we are trying to complete it early. So biosignal potentials, such signals that are extracting information on a physiological systems, phenomena that conveys information which is used for diagnosis. Now, these are some of the potentials which are generated by the human body and which actually conveys the information which is very useful for the diagnosis purpose. So we are using those things, and these are simplex or as complex, right? So we are going to study these bioelectric potentials in depth. Let us continue with this. So these are some of the potentials which biopotentials which are there present in our human body, and we are expecting to extract those signals, those potentials from our body, and we are going to use it for the diagnosis purpose. So these signals consist of EEG, electroencephalogram, electro-ENG, EMG, electromusculogram, and EOG, ocular system, ERG, corneal retinal position, eyes, ECG, cardiovascular system, pulse rate, blood pressure, blood flow, PCG, that is for the heart valves, EMG, muscular systems, EGG, that is for gastrointestinal intestinal tract, right? So these are some of the potentials that are being generated by the human body, and which we are going to very much concerned about this, right? So these are the biopotentials. We are going to study these in depth. So we are in our syllabus. We are having ECG, EMG only. We are going to study this. Then let us begin with this biopotentials. What are those biopotentials? Sources of, say, biomedical signals. Which are those sources of biomedical signals are there, and these are the sources of biomedical signal. Now here you will be able to see that head region consists of electroencephalogram, which is consisting of nervous system. This is respiratory parameters, that is pulmonary system. Then we have electrooculogram, that is ocular system related to mouth, and the electrocardiogram, impedance pneumography, which is concerned with the heart, phonocardiogram, heart sounds, blood pressure, that is cardiovascular system, then blood flow, that is again the cardiovascular system, and then electromyogram, that is actually the muscular system, the muscles are concerned with it. And then we are having pulse oximeter. We have studied this we have used this in this pandemic. Galvanic resistance, and the pulse rate, cardiovascular system again. So these are some of the biomedical signals which are being generated by the body itself, and in which we need to use those signals, and we need to convert it to a we need to convert these signals into some of the potentials in human readable form of human usage of form to diagnosis of us, right? Classification of biopotentials, biomedical signals. So classification of biopotentials and biomedical signals are like biopotentials, for example, bioelectric signals, ECG, EMG, EEG, EOG, ERG, and EGG. So these are the biopotentials, bioelectric signals that are being generated. Then we have bioacoustic signals, which are concerned with blood flow through heart walls and sound. So acoustics, then sorry, biochemical signals, movement of the chest walls, biochemical signals, PCO2 and PO2, biomagnetic signals, magneto EG, then bio-optical signals, that is transmitted back scattered light. So we transmit a light and then the scattered light is in use. We have seen this in oximeters, right? So we are using a pin-like of a structure, and that is being holded on a thumb or a finger, forefinger, and then there is light which is penetrating through our veins and it is being reflected and the result is being used for that. So that is bio-optical signal. Bioimpedance, that is galvanic skin resistance. So the resistance of the skin can also be measured. Those are some of the biopotentials. Now, bioelectric signals. What are actually the bioelectric signals? The electric field generated by the action of many cells. Remember this, the electric field, the field, the potentials which are being generated by the body. So the electric field generated by the action of many cells constitutes the bioelectric signals. They are generated by nerve or muscle cells. Basic source in the cell membrane potential, that for example we are having ECG, EMG, EEG, EOG, ERG, EGG. So these are some of the brain cells of body which generates this biopotentials, right? So the bioacoustic signals, these are bioelectric signals, and bioacoustic signals are those such as such medical signals provide the information about the underlying phenomena. Example, flow of blood in the heart through the heart walls, and flow of air through the upper and lower airways and in lungs. So that can be used by using the acoustic system. So acoustic is actually sound waves which are being focused on the body, and the reflected sound waves are being say detected, and those signals can be used for the diagnosis purpose. So this is that. Then we are having biomechanical signals which originates from the mechanical function of biological system, includes motion and displacement signals, pressure and flow signals, example movement of chest walls in accordance with the respiratory activity. So these are biomechanical signals. Biochemical signals obtained as a result of chemical measurements of living tissue or from samples analyzed in the lab. Example, measurement of PCO2, that is pH meter, acidic or basic. We say sometimes that our body is having, I'm having acidity, right? So that can be one of the biochemical signals. And PO2 and concentration of various ions in the blood. So these are all are related with the biochemical signals which are generated by the body. Then we are having the biomagnetic signals. Extremely, these signals are very extremely weak. Magnetic fields produced by various organs like brain, heart, lungs. It provides important function, important information which is not provided by bioelectrical signals. Example, magneto EMG from the brain. So these biomagnetic signals which are being generated in the form of magnet, right? So magnetic field is being generated, and these magnetic field is at very low power. So but it provides a very nice information as compared to bioelectrical. Then we are having bioptical signals, result of optical functions of the biological systems occurring either naturally or induced by the measurement process. Example, blood oxygenation may be estimated by measuring the transmitted back scattered light from a tissue at different wavelengths. So we are going to transmit a light wave, and the reflected light ray is being used from the tissue, and that is being used, and the light which we use is of different wavelengths. So we are changing the wavelengths, and whatever changes we are expecting, that are being recorded. So these are the some bioimpedances. The impedance of the tissue is a source of important information concerning its composition, blood distribution, and blood vacuum, etc. It is also obtained by injecting current in the tissue and measuring voltage drop across tissue impedance. Example, galvanic skin resistance and the measurement of respiration rate based on bioimpedance techniques. So these are bioimpedance. Such signal comprises resting and action potentials. Now remember, this is for the cell. The cell consists of this. So we generate these bioelectric potentials bar, which are actually ionic voltages produced as a result of the electrochemical activity of the of certain special types of cells. Now, remember what I'm going to tell you, that these are some of the cells which are going to generate this biopotential through the use of transducers capable of converting these ionic potentials into electric voltages. So we are going to check this by using some transducers, which are actually capable of converting this ionic potential into electric voltages that can be used. So ionic potentials and resting potentials, which we call it as the action potential and resting potential. The sources of biopotentials, those are nerve cells and muscle cells. Resting potential, action potential, states of cells. So cell has having polarized state, depolarized state, repolarized state, and semi-permeable membrane, depolarization phase, and repolarization. So these are some of the phases of the cells. I guess you have understood what I mean. So electrical activity associated with one contraction in a muscle. So these are only related with one contraction and relaxation of a muscle. Okay. So typical cell potential waveform, typical terms, these are resting potential and action potential. We are going to study this in depth. Then repolarization, depolarization, and repolarization, sodium pump, all or nothing law, net height of the action potential, absolute refractory period, relative refractory period, and propagation rate, nerve conduction rate, and conduction velocity. So these are some typical potential waveforms that we need to study. Polarized state and resting potential. Now let us see this. This is a cell. Okay, so we are having inner side of the cell which is having, say, the cell membrane which are having over there, and we are having a negative potential over there. Then we are having the extra fluid on the outer part of it, which generates a positive potential on it, and depending on that, we'll have the negative potential inside it. So we are having two potential, and it acts as a cell. Cell means the battery. So that can be used, and that composition, if you connect it by using the electrodes, it will give you the voltage, say at the range of minus 60 to minus 100 millivolts. So this much of small voltage is being generated by a cell, a small cell, and these are special type of cell. So remember this, and depending on the contraction and relaxation, we might have this type of a graph, right? So this is a resting potential at minus 70 volts. We say that the cell is at resting potential, and then it say comes in the say action potential. So we will have a high voltage over. So we'll see this depolarized state and action potential. So this is the depolarized state that we are having. So all the positive ions which are there, they are being taken out, and uh, the state of depolarization takes place, according to which we'll have a voltage nearly equal to plus 20 millivolts, right? So as you can see over here, now the negative ions are going situated outside the membrane. Inside it, we are having a positive potential, due to which we are having a plus 20 millivolt voltage inside that cell, right? And now this is the resting potential, and this is the depolarization. Yeah, we will see it in one more time. So this is the action potential and resting potential. So if you see this, we are having all the ions inside it, chloride and calcium we are having, and sodium ions are on the upper side of the cell. Then due to that, if you connect it to say electrode, then it is going to take the voltage as say minus 70 volts. So this is called as a polarized state, and the potential that we are expecting over here is like this. So we are having a minus 70 millivolt over here. Then we are having action potential, then repolarization, and again we'll have the resting potential like this. So it will remain at minus 70 millivolt like this. So this is how the cell contraction relax accordingly. It goes into action potential and resting potential, according to which it is going to generate the voltages. So it is in the range of minus 70 millivolt to say plus 30 or plus 20 millivolt like this. So resting potential or depolarized state, in that depolarized state, what will happen? The sodium ions which were outside the cell will be inserted inside, and it will have a positive potential inside and negative ions on the outside of the membrane. If you connect it to electrode, then it is going to show you 20 millivolts. Okay, and again the same graph is over there. So at depolarized state, will have this potential at around plus 20 millivolt or plus 30 millivolt accordingly, according to the cell composition. And these potentials can be used to determine and diagnose. So these are the cell potentials, and you are able to see that it is going from minus 70 millivolt to say plus 30 volt. And if the time is the time axis is given on the x-axis, so you will see that is in millisecond. So this is how a cell breathes. That is what we can say. So in that breathing process of a cell, will have this depolarization, action potential, repolarization, and then at the resting potential, right? And these are the ranges of voltages which are being generated by that cell battery of a body, right? So yeah, uh, cell potential. Again, if you see this, so we can have in just 2 milliseconds, we'll have this type of a wave coming out of our cell. And this bit is called as the minimum bit of current stimulus for action potential generation. And this is a pulse that is expected to generate due to that. So we'll have this threshold voltage around 60 millivolt, then plus 20 millivolt. So this voltage at this point is called as the threshold voltage, and this point at which it is polarized, so that is called as the polarized resting potential. Uh, those are typical forms, and these are the situations. So this is the electrical activity of associated with one contraction in a muscle, right? So it will go from say the depolarization state to resting state, then depolarization state to depolarization completed state. Then we are having repolarization state. Then this is repolarization completed state, and again it will go to the sorry. So yeah, yes. So resting state. So these are the electrical activity associated with one contraction in a muscle. Cell membrane potential process, all or nothing law. The action potential is always the same for any given cell, irrespective of method by which cell is excited and intensity of stimulus. So all or nothing law is the action potential is always the same for any given cell, irrespective of the method by which the cell is excited or intensity of the stimulus. Net height of the action potential, that is difference between the peak of the action potential and the resting potential. Absolute refractory period, brief period of time during which the cell cannot respond to any stimulus, that is 1 millisecond in Nowset. Relative refractive period, that is period of time during which another action potential can be obtained with a much stronger stimulation, several milliseconds. It results after potential. So the cell membrane potential, these are the propagation rate, the rate at which an action potential moves down a fiber or propagated from cell to cell is called as the propagation rate. The rate at which an action potential from a moves down a fiber or propagated from cell to cell is called as the propagation rate, and that propagation rate is around 20 to 140 milliseconds per second. Heart muscles is around zero point 0.2 to zero point 0.4 millisecond say movement per second. Special time delay fibers between the arteria and ventricles is around 0.03 to 0.05 per millisecond, right? Different bioelectric signals, importance of various bioelectric signals, electrical activity of various cells, body organs results in biopotentials, the nature and important features of biosignals like ECG, EEG, EMG can be obtained by this. And yeah, different bioelectric signals we have studied. This the primary characteristics of typical bioelectrical signals are like this. So ECG works in the principle of say frequency range of around 0.05 to 120 hertz. That is around say 100 hertz on an average. Signal amplitude is around zero point 0.1 to 5 millivolt. That is 1 millivolt. on an average, and we require these electrodes. These electrodes are very important, and this field is also very crucial of research as far as electrodes are concerned. So EEG is having a frequency range of zero point 0.1 to 100 hertz. The signal amplitude is from 2 to 200 microvolts. That is the scalp electrode. And EMG is around 5 to 3000 hertz. That is 100 hertz. And the signals amplitude of the voltage is around zero point 0.1 to 5 millivolt. That is 50 microvolt. That is needle electrode we require. ERG 0 to 20 hertz, 0.5 microvolt to 1 millivolt. Contact electrodes are required, and EOG is from 0 to 100 hertz. That is, the range of amplitude is from 10 microvolt to 3.5 millivolt. So these are all the bioelectrical signals, and the primary characteristics of these bioelectrical signals and the electrodes which are being essential to record this or to convert this that we are having. These are features of important biomedical signals such as ECG. So ECG one is one of the most important parameter of a human body. That is cardiovasculogram, and electrocardiogram, right? So that is the cardiac conduction system, and this is the physiology of the heart that we are having. This is right atrium, left atrium. We don't go in depth of this because it is all biological terms. The main thing which we are concerned with is how much of voltage it is going to generate during the contraction and relaxation of that in how much time. That is more important. So electroconduction of heart muscles, these are some more parameters which are all biomedical systems. And here are some uh, activities which are there by the heart. Then features of important biomedical signals such as ECG. So we are having this type of a signal of the heart, and we call it as electrocardiogram, right? So this is PR interval, PR segment, and we are having QRS complex, that is R. So we are having these points P, Q, R, S, and T. This is ST segment, and QT interval. This is PR interval, and this is QT interval, right? So these are the ECG signals that we are having, that we already see in ECG. We are going to study this in depth. These are the EEG signals that are being generated from the body, typically EEG signal waveform, and these are the frequencies that are being generated: delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma. Electroencephalogram, which is related to brain. EMG signal, those are for muscular. So these are wave shapes of typical EMG signals. And electrodes. So we have a huge theory of electrodes over here. I hope we won't go in depth of that. So this much is only concerned with our syllabus, say, uh, use. So we'll be working on this. So these are some of the biopotentials which are being generated by the human body. I guess you have understood. This is what we were expected to study: polarized state and resting potential, then the depolarized state and action potential. These are some more, that those are action potential and resting potential. Polarized state, semi-permeable, and these are how the voltages are being generated. These are the graph. This is for depolarized state. This is cell potential, in which we are having the voltages ranging from -70 to action plus 20 millivolt, and again back to resting potential. So these are some of the biopotentials that we need to study. I guess you have understood. If you have any queries, you can ask me on that. And I guess you have heard about this. So these are some of the important signals which are being required uh, to diagnosis of a human body. Okay, so I guess it is done. If you have any queries, you can ask. Yeah. Thank you very much for joining. Stay tuned to my YouTube channel. Go through my YouTube channel, like, subscribe, and share my videos. I will be uploading more videos on this. Thank you very much for joining. Stay home, stay safe, take care. See you in the next class. Good day.